Hello children, today in this session we are going to discuss light, reflection and refraction. So we see a variety of objects in the world around us. So we see beautiful things, we see a rainbow and we see different objects surrounding us. So how are we able to see all those things? However, we are unable to see anything in the dark room. Suppose consider a dark room. So can you see any object in the dark? No, we are not able to see any object in the dark. On lighting up the room, things become visible. So when you check here in the dark room, I cannot see the objects. Though I have eyes, I cannot see the objects. But when you light up, I can see the objects surrounding to me. On what makes things visible? During the day, the sunlight helps to see the objects. So if you observe here, during the daylight, sunlight, it is going to help us to see the objects. So, but here what light is? A light is a form of energy which causes the sensation of vision. So, what it is like sensation of vision? So, when we are seeing our surroundings, so like with the help of the light and with the help of our eyes only, we can see the objects. Now, suppose you are entering into a dark room. Then can you see the objects without light? No. Or you are entering into a lighted room. Then can you see the objects without your eyes? No, we cannot see. So, but both are important here. So, light is a form of energy which is going to cause sensation of vision. So, an object which reflects light that falls on it. So, an object, if you observe here, any object, suppose if you are going to see any water bottle present on the surface. So, when you see a water bottle, so if it is like if you don't have eyes or if there is no light, you cannot see that object. So, what is happening there? So, when light falls on any objects, it is going to reflect that. Whenever it reflects, then we are able to see with our eyes. So, if you see here, the reflected light when received by our eyes enables us to see the things. The reflected light, when it is going to receive by our eyes, then it enables us to see the things. And next, we are able to see through a transparent medium as light is transmitted through it. So, in your lower classes, you have learned that we have some different kinds of mediums. So, like we have, when you want to see the objects, complete objects, then we'll be having transparent medium. When you want to see a partial object that is not completely seen, then we'll be having a translucent medium. And if object is not completely seen, then we'll be seeing through the opaque medium. So, we have three different mediums: transparent, translucent and opaque. So, transparent medium is that where the light is allowed completely through that. When light is allowed completely through that, we call it as a transparent. And if partial of light is allowed, only half of the light and half of it gets reflected and half of it gets observed, then we say partial of the light. So, when we say partial of the light, if partial of the light is allowed, then what kind of a substance is that? So, it will be a translucent. And next we have opaque medium. Opaque medium is where you cannot see the total other side of the object. Why you cannot see which is present total other side of the object? As the light is not allowed by the opaque medium. It is not going to allow. It is going to obstruct. So, this we have three different kinds of medium: transparent, translucent and opaque. So, if you observe here, a light which is going to fall onto any surface, it is getting reflected back into the same medium. So, what do we call the reflection? Reflection is a bouncing back of light rays. Reflection is a bouncing back of light rays. So, there are a number of common wonderful phenomena associated with light, such as image formation by mirrors, the twinkling of stars, the beautiful colors of a rainbow, bending of light by a medium, and so on. So, we see surrounding us different beautiful things, like we are going to see the formation of images by the mirrors. So, when you are standing early in the morning in front of the mirror, so you look at your beautiful face, right? So, that is with the help of light. And you are able to see the rainbow, that is also with the help of the light, and the twinkling of the stars and the beautiful colors of the rainbow, and also bending of a light by a medium and so on. These indicates these are the consequences of the light rays. A study of the properties of light help us to explore them. So how these are all formed, how can we identify? So what is that behind a principle which making us to see the objects? So that it is when we study about the properties of light, then we can be able to understand how we are able to see the objects in the nature beautifully. So by observing the common optical phenomena around us, we may conclude that light seems to travel in straight lines. So here the first property of light, what we call it as, is a rectilinear propagation of light. So when you see optical phenomena is which is considered with the light. So we can conclude that light travels in the straight line. What do you mean by light travels in a straight line? So if I have a source of a light there, and if I switch on that light, so it is always going to travel that in the form of a straight line. And this property is a basic property of the light, which we call it as a rectilinear propagation of light. So rectilinear means it is in a straight line. So light travels in a straight line. So if there is any obstruction, what happens to the light ray? Does it going to bend in the form of a curve? No, it is not going to bend in the form of a curve. Though we are having any obstruction, again it is going to travel in a straight line. So from this phenomena, we see that light travels in a straight line. The fact that a small source of light casts a sharp shadow of an opaque object points to this straight line path of light, usually indicated as a ray of light. So if you take any small source of light here, so light, if it is obstructed, if the path of the light is obstructed there, then what happens? It is going to cast a shadow. So like this, it is going to cast a shadow. How can this shadow be formed? As we are going to take the opaque objects, three things are necessary to make a shadow. One is the screen, and one is the opaque object, another one is the light. Three things are necessary for making a shadow. That is, one is the opaque object, light, and then screen. Three are important. Now I have a small source of light and a sharp opaque objects. So what will happen? I can see the shadow formation here. How it is going to form a shadow here? Because the path of the light which is obstructed, the path of the light, the ray which is coming from the sun, it is getting obstructed and it is going to form a shadow here. And this is a opaque object. So what is the screen here? This becomes the screen. So that is the shadow. It is formed by the straight line property of the light. So which property of light forms the shadow? Then we can say it as a straight line property of light. That is rectilinear propagation of light.